Brilliant. 21 minutes to 5. Let me share this story with you because campaigners are calling for stricter regulations on personal tutors. That's after new research shows that over 90% of Brits across Beds, Herts, Bucks and Northampton are unaware that tutors are not required by law to have any formal qualification. They say the lack of awareness is particularly concerning given that more than half of people in those regions are considering hiring a tutor for themselves or their children. Adam Caller is a personal tutor campaigner and joins us on the programme now. Adam, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Rob. How are you?
I'm well, so welcome to the programme. Adam, are you surprised that so many people seem to be unaware that personal tutors don't need formal qualifications?
Well, disappointingly, I mean, I've been in business for 25 years, so I have some insight into it. And disappointingly, I'm not that surprised. I mean, I was surprised that it was such a high figure, that it was in the 90s was remarkable, I think. But I do think there's a general lack of understanding from the public about what it takes to become a tutor.
And why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I think the tutoring profession in general, my company is different because we only require qualified teachers, but in general, it's filled with people who are doing tutoring mostly between university and getting what they might refer to as a proper job, or they're doing it to supplement an income while they're doing something else. And the general public is the companies that they work for, the agencies that they work for, or the way that they market themselves, and they declare themselves to be a professional tutor. The word professional implies that there's a qualification behind it when in fact there isn't.
Okay. Around about this time of day, I should imagine there are significant numbers of parents with children in the back of their vehicles being taken to either a sports class, an arts class, or going to and from a personal tutor. Now, you run a company, of course, you're at the top end of the scale. Just how big is this market, Adam?
Oh, it's gigantic. It's hard to put an exact figure on it because there's no real clever data. But I mean, I remember years ago doing a little bit of research in London and finding that I think there was something like 5.9 million tutoring hours delivered each week in London.
Just as huge, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, nearly everybody would consider having a tutor at some point or another for something for at least one child. So, you know, anyone who's got a child is on their mind all the time.
Yeah, I've always thought not many of us will admit it, but most of us have thought about it or are doing it. That's the complication, perhaps.
Yes, and it's also hard to define what is counted. And if your neighbour helps you out with a little bit of maths and perhaps does that for nothing, that was tutoring. You know, it's just very hard to define what's involved.
Could stricter rules, Adam, help improve the tutoring industry, perhaps make it safer and more equitable for everybody?
So by safety, I think you mean the risks to children of being harmed by tutors. And I don't believe that this has got anything to do with safety. But I do think that in terms of ensuring that people who are coming into your home have the skills to deliver what they say they can deliver, then absolutely.
So what advice would you give for people on finding a qualified, trustworthy tutor, someone who knows what the children should be being taught to help them in terms of extracurricular work and assist them in that element of their lives?
Well, at this moment in time, there are no qualifications anywhere for tutoring. The closest you can get is to be a qualified teacher, and it's assumed that if you're a qualified teacher, then you would also be a very good tutor. And I'd say that in general that's probably true. And there also are some absolutely superb tutors who are not qualified teachers. The thing is, how would a parent know the difference? What kind of a level of risk? You take someone into your home, and I don't mean risk to the child, but risk to the education. At what point do you say to yourself, how am I going to find out? Am I going to let this person go all the way through supporting my son or daughter through their GCSE, only to find that the child doesn't do very well in the exam, and that's when you realize that they just didn't really know what they were doing? So I would say to parents, if, as far as possible, to someone who's a qualified teacher or who's got a provable track record of delivering the very thing that you're asking them to deliver.
Adam, good talk to you. Wish you well. By the way, does it make a difference having a tutor, after-school tutor, to a child's education?
I think it does. One-on-one is absolutely the gold standard of learning. A tutor can tell just by the body language of a student if they think they understand something or if they really, really do. And that difference, the difference between thinking you can do something and knowing you can do something, that's the biggest difference when it comes to passing an exam.
Adam, I wish you well. Adam Corlo is a personal tutor campaigner. The campaigners are calling for stricter regulations on personal tutors. This after research shows that over 90% of Brits across Beds, Herts and Bucks are unaware that tutors are not required by law to have any formal qualification. And as Adam said, and I agree with that figure of 90% is exceptionally high. I don't usually get that sort of figures, but that's where we are. Look, at this time of day, there are parents taking their kids perhaps to and from different tutors. It's a lot of parents do it. I think most parents do it. No one likes to talk about it. And I have to be honest with my two kids, when they were, we gave them tutors. We spent an absolute fortune on tutors because it just gives them that extra bounce in their education. And it seems to pay dividends eventually. It cost a fortune, though.